Hey everybody, I wanted to talk today about elimination diets, which you might have a couple questions about if you read this week's blog post. If you have not yet read it, I will link it to this video so that you can get caught up on what I'm talking about. If you don't know me, my name is Esther Avant. I'm a personal trainer and nutrition coach, and I work with women to help them lose weight and become healthier, happier, and more confident by making small and sustainable changes to their day-to-day lives. So, if you read this week's blog post, which was about some foods that you might want to consider avoiding if you have IBD or IBS or any kind of GI issues, bloating, gas, discomfort, that sort of thing, and I realized that might kind of raise some questions given my overall philosophy on a healthy diet, and basically that is that no foods are inherently good or bad. There's no reason to arbitrarily not eat certain foods or certain groups, and that, essentially any foods that you deem worthwhile you can fit into your diet in moderation. So I recognize that can sound kind of conflicting when we're also talking about elimination diets. So I wanted to kind of reconcile those two things and explain the differences a little bit so you see how they can work together. So when I say elimination diet, what I'm referring to is a short-term elimination of certain foods or certain food groups for a purpose. These are foods that you suspect you may have trouble either digesting or tolerating in some way, maybe slightly allergic to, and you basically want to see what is different when you don't eat those things. So an elimination diet is intended to be short-term. You are eliminating foods or food groups that you suspect or that are commonly linked to the symptoms that you're experiencing. And probably most importantly is that you are systematically reintroducing those foods back into your diet at the end of the elimination phase so that you can gather information about what foods impact you in what way. So the idea is that you're using this elimination diet to learn something. So this is not just you arbitrarily eliminating all of these things in an effort to lose weight, or I'm never going to eat bread again because it makes you fat. It's not these totally random and inaccurate rules. You are saying, I feel this way, and commonly I know that these foods in some people can either make that worse or can cause those symptoms in the first place. So I just want to see what differences do I feel when I eliminate those things, and then one by one introduce them to see which foods within a group or which foods that you've eliminated might be having an impact. So that's the very important part, is instead of saying I'm going to eliminate all dairy forever because I think it's making me gassy, you eliminate it for 30 days, and then one by one you reintroduce, okay, I'm going to start with yogurt. You have the only dairy you have for a couple days is yogurt, and you say, okay, I'm feeling fine, I don't seem to have a problem with yogurt, and then you try the next thing. How does cheese make me feel? That sort of thing. So there can be differences within the category that you've eliminated, which is why you go through that systematic reintroduction. So that's basically the what, is that an elimination diet is when you're eliminating foods that you suspect are having a negative impact on your health or your well-being overall, and then you systematically reintroduce them after your body has had a chance to kind of get back to a baseline, this kind of reset without that food in your system, and now you're reintroducing it just to see what happens. Okay, so you're not arbitrarily eliminating anything, and you're not doing it long-term until the end of time. And again, the why is that you are seeing if the removal of certain foods has a positive effect on your health. You want to see what foods specifically you have this negative reaction to. And when it comes down to it, would you rather never eat dairy again, or identify that, oh, that seems like the only dairy that I have an issue with is whey protein, but I can have cheese and feel fine. Wouldn't you rather know that? So we're trying to remove the guesswork. We're trying to avoid eliminating foods unnecessarily if you can pinpoint the ones that are causing you discomfort. So to break down, kind of how this works is, you probably have a pretty good idea of that by now, but basically you're deciding which foods that you're going to eliminate. So common ones that people often do, depending on the symptoms they're experiencing, are gluten products, dairy, caffeine, alcohol, sugar, maybe even artificial sweeteners, and some cases like FODMAPs, which are a category of carbohydrates that are not easily digested by some people and can cause gas and bloating and sort of general GI discomfort, or nightshades, things like that. You are then going to commit to 30 days without any of those foods in your system, which is really the important part here, is that you're not kind of half-assing and saying like, yeah, I'm not gonna have it except for the cream in my coffee and except for the queso on Friday. That if you're going to do it, you need to commit to it, because the point is that you need to get it out of your body to then see what it's like to reintroduce it. So even if you have these little bits that are kind of lingering throughout your elimination, you're ruining the point. You might as well not. So either commit to doing it to see how you feel, or don't. So also important is that while you're going through the elimination, is that you are chronicling in some way how you're feeling. So one thing I want to note here is that you are likely going to feel worse before you feel better. I mean, think about caffeine, which a lot of us have, pretty legitimate chemical dependencies on. When you go a few days without caffeine, you're probably going to experience some withdrawals. You're going to have a headache, and you're going to feel low energy. That's the caffeine getting out of your system. So that doesn't mean, what your conclusion from that shouldn't be like, oh, I feel like crap when I don't have coffee for 2 days, so I should never do that again. Your conclusion should be, it seems like I built up a dependence to that, and it's good for me to take a step back from it. Okay, so don't expect that the second you start eliminating foods that all of a sudden you're going to feel better. Probably you are going to go through a little bit of a dip where you're like, I still feel terrible, maybe I even feel worse, but you will come out the other side. That is your body adjusting to the changes that you've made. So don't just immediately, 6 days in, say, yep, I feel worse. That concludes that I need cheese to live. I better, I better double down and eat even more. Okay, so be patient with the process, and if you're gonna do it, like I said, commit to that 30 days. And write down, ideally after every meal or every day, some notes about your energy levels, about your symptoms. Track as much as you can, as many indicators as you can. So if you're trying to decrease eczema or acne or things like that, take pictures of what it looked like, day one, and take pictures throughout the month so you can see, did eliminating these foods make a visible change in these things? Because the point is that you're collecting data. So if you're just kind of going through it blindly and you're like, yeah, I took all this stuff out, and I think maybe I feel better, but then I started eating it all again, and now I feel about the same, and I don't know. The point, you're going through this, this short-term sacrifice for a reason. So do it right. Get that data, write that down, figure out, oh, it used to be that I felt super low energy when I had, A, B, and C for breakfast, and then since I've eliminated those things and I'm eating this, I have a lot more energy. That's something to note, all right? So you're not trying to draw conclusions about the foods being inherently good or bad. You're trying to draw conclusions about how they make you feel in specific ways. Okay, and then one by one, like I mentioned earlier, you're going to reintroduce the foods back in. So again, you don't want to hit your 30-day mark and go on this free-for-all binge of all the things that you couldn't eat before. So that's where fad diets or crash diets or quick fixes get you into trouble, is that they say for however many days you can't have these things, and then as soon as it ends, it's like go right back to normal. That's why the results are short-lived. And that's where your difference in this short-term elimination diet is that you are doing it for scientific reasons, you're doing it systematically, and then you are attempting to reintroduce those foods back in to see which ones affect you in what way. So if you've eliminated all gluten, all grains, and then you know, day 31, you have toast for breakfast with oatmeal, and then you have crackers, and then you have rice, and then you have pasta, and then you feel terrible afterwards. Like, you don't know what food specifically caused that reaction. Probably eating them all at once after not having them for a month is part of it, but my point is, you just put in that work on the front end to get your body to this like kind of reset point. And now, after the 30 days is when the actual like experiment is beginning of what foods can I eat and still feel comfortable, and what foods have I just decided, you know, this makes me feel not good, I don't want to eat it anymore. I learned that I can't eat beets. I like beets a lot. I enjoy them on a salad. Can't eat them. They make me feel terrible. So, you know, I've decided I could still eat them, sure. You know, there's no hard and fast rule that, you know, something terrible is going to happen if I eat them, except that I'm going to feel uncomfortable. So I've decided that feeling afterward isn't worth the taste of, you know, it isn't worth the enjoyment of eating them in the first place. And you might find that, you know, hey, I have identified that eating cheese makes my stomach hurt, but I'm still going to eat some cheese sometimes because I like it. So again, it doesn't have to mean that you are committing to never eating these foods again. It could just mean that now you have the understanding and the awareness of, this food doesn't make me feel great, I should be aware of that and maybe try to eat it more modestly or not at all. And on that note, some foods do have kind of a threshold of tolerance. So it might be that, you know, that say a piece of bread a day doesn't have a negative impact at all, but when you have, you know, however much food with gluten in it, then you do start to feel bad. So there could be a threshold for you that a glass of milk is fine, you know, the whole gallon is not. So that's something you might learn as well. And you can, you know, kind of figure out from there where is comfortable, where is not. But again, the point here, to kind of summarize, is the point of the elimination diet is not to be this like long-term restrictive arbitrary rule thing. The point of elimination diet is to try to identify foods that do not make you feel good, is basically what it boils down to. So by eliminating them from your system, seeing how that makes you feel, period, seeing what changes for the better by not having those foods, you can then reintroduce them and try to pinpoint exactly what foods make you feel not as good, what foods, you know, seem to be fine for you. And then on that note, just another thing about anytime you're making like kind of major changes to your diet, you do definitely want to check with your medical doctor about it, and you know, they may have some good insight for you about how to, you know, the specifics of how to, and just, you know, kind of get that medical clearance of you are not, you know, going to cause deficiencies in any, you know, vitamins or that sort of thing. So, you know, as always, just kind of get that thumbs up, be open with your medical practitioner about what it is that you're trying to do, how you're feeling, you know, what you've learned and what you're trying to do. So just kind of get that stamp of approval. So if you have any questions about elimination diets, feel free to post in the comments. If you have experience with them, if you learned anything from them, that would be really cool to share. And as well, if you would like to share that sort of thing in the Live Diet Free Facebook support group, I will link that in the comments to this video as well. I'd be happy to have you join us there. Talk to you guys later.